So yeah, we're really about today's topic actually, and that is what's it called? Oh yeah, twin flames after death, of course. Twin flames after death, because when you're dead, you just go back to, well, you don't have the ego and the body and the personality anymore. You just go back to, oh, I'm full consciousness, and you sort of let go of, you forgot the body and the ego and the personality. You're like, oh gosh, I'm only consciousness now. That's when you're dead. Well, I mean, when you're alive on earth now with your body and your ego and your personality and all that, you also have your consciousness. You also have your soul. You are your soul. You are your consciousness. But we're so distracted, by the ego, personality, and the body, and the world, and the dramas, and the hunger, and I mean, just in a practical way. Like, I need to eat 3 times a day, and it's so distracted. When you've let go of that, when you're dead, you're like, oh, there's a lot more space to associate with only the truth from your consciousness out, because what else is there to do? You don't need to eat anymore 3 times a day, isn't it? So yeah, much more direct to find out what the truth is, where God lives, what it was in the body, what was that about, this dream in the body, and in the personality and in the world. And I experienced something there, you could say then. But was that true? Looking back sort of to the world, hey, yeah, I was there. Just moments ago, I was there, over there, completely entangled in this twin flame story, and finding out that there was this deep love, and I wanted this person, and I traveled half across the world to find them, and I texted with them every day. This is what she did. And I was so busy with that, and I was so taken in by that, and it was so magical and so unbelievably like eating me alive. But was it really true? Was that something real? Was that the truth of my being? Was I busy with something? I was like watching Petra, me on videos. That's what she would say. She was watching me on videos. She was coming closer in the community, coming to our Facebook group, going to all the live events in our Facebook group for our members, doing it all, doing the key inner work tool that I suggest people do, learning from me how to do that, the inner work for twin flames, executing it, taking it seriously, spending time on it, crying, spending emotional energy on it, crying, feeling that pain in my heart. That's what she would say. Feeling the pain in the heart that was just pushed out by this whole thing of the twin flame, and the different sense of who I thought I was in my life before, and now there was this twin flame and I was something else, because I apparently changed even my sexuality inside my twin flame union, and I did not even know that this was in my future, but here we are. And we had so much to speak about over text in our phones for 1.5 years, but then it stopped, and she got my twin flame got someone else. But I definitely wanted to meet her in real life, because that was never happening before, and I traveled half over Europe to find her and to visit her and to be this and to live this and to being this completely alien to my former life sexuality. And I entered into that, and I opened myself up to this incredible new thing. But then I also felt rejected, and I cried my eyes out, and it was like my heart was broken open, and it was everything and everything and everything that came out. And that's what she told me, that this is what she was experiencing. And then she experienced that we were actually doing the key twin flame inner work in the community, and she started to experience what that was. And there was more tears and more tears, but it was good now, and it was different, and it was in a new way, and it was like strangely peaceful. And it was like she was going to do twin flame meditations, and it was like, what is this? I never did this. I never set myself down in a room and closed my eyes and was led through different energy points in my body to feel like what is there to feel, and to have an experience, and have that be sort of a story that I learned something about my inner world. And it feels so peaceful, and so incredibly connected to something bigger and deeper. And wow, what is this actually? And she just went into all of these experiences. And I have to say, she truly, truly believed in what I was teaching. Well, yeah, because it is the truth. What we're doing here is the absolute truth. There's only one thing that is reality, that is God's reality. That is like God's reality brought into the world, so that we're just part of that. It's not a strange, weird outside thing that we only do in a workshop, but it just becomes your life. And God is very clear, and the divine reality is very clear cut and very precise, and very much it's only this, it's only you and your true twin flame. That's it. That's the reality. That's the structure of life. It's like a very basic structure of life, which also corresponds to how people wanna build their lives, because they want to have a partner first, and then have a family, and have a money life, and live a good, happy life. That's what everyone actually wants. But if you do that with the twin flame, then you do that according to the true creation of how you were originally created, as the core of you, as your spiritual core, which just means the basic of life. That's what spiritual means. Basics of life. So, and God is very precise about that. It's only one thing. It's only your twin flame. That's it. There are no fantasies around that. It's not someone else. They can't change body or something. It's just, this is it. And when you get that straight, you get that worked out correctly, absolutely, fundamentally correctly, in a way that can't be made undone anymore. And it's so utterly clear, when that is like, that's the foundation of your abundance. Any abundance, energy, feeling good, money, love, family, work, sharing, friends, everything that you want, health, wealth. That's the true foundation of life, of God's abundance, God's wealth, God's health, which is the true wealth, health, etc., etc. That is eternal. That is like, can't be made undone anymore. That is like, yeah, that's what that is. And she got more and more in the direction of what that is, in the vibration of what that is, because she believed what I was bringing and giving her deeply. She felt our connection. And that's how, through my prayer for the Twin Flame Connect Collective, which I already have down, that's the only way I can do this work, because I have it down. She went with me in the depth, and it actually took her only a couple of months. And she changed completely into a peaceful version of herself instead of this person that was all over the place. And oh, it makes me cry. Thinking about it. Because she just changed into this completely different person that was happy with her new life in a new flat without her former family. She was a bit older. She had already had periods in her life in which she had had a family and children, you know, and a job. And she had all these life experiences already. And that she was choosing for her own flat on her own to start something new. And she just changed from someone that was deeply stressed, deeply stressed, out of this world stressed, into a very peaceful person. Yeah. So I can hardly speak anymore, but I mean, the core of this part of the story is that she reached it and then she died. That's the core of the story for today. And I'm only human after all. So there we go. There go the tears. So that's that's how it turned out. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. It's, it's just how it played out for her. She reached this inner peace. So she knew that divine love is real. And who wouldn't want that? To reach that before they die. That's the whole point of life. She reached the point of life. She reached what is the point of life. She reached it. And I mean, that's even the most why I cry. Because it's so touching and so real. So real. It's just like, that's why I do this work. That's why it's so important. Because that's the whole point of life itself. To reach union while you're still here. Because then you have that consciousness, pure consciousness and divine love and divine wisdom. That is incarnated, that is in the body, in each other as one, in the peaceful way, aligned, complete, and expressed. Sometimes only expressed like as a vibration in the heart that is very peaceful, that touch that core of peace. and has created this beginning of the vortex of absolute peace. And there's not a lot of building yet. There's just this absolute pure beginning of this peace. And there's not like waves yet that come out of that and change your home and your friends and your family and your mission and make you live together with your twin flame and create a family together and create a business together and live happily ever after for a couple of decades and whatnot. These are all the winds that come out of it, the flow that comes out of it, of transformation and change and building and building and building. That hasn't happened yet, but the core of peace for her, that's what was reached. And that's the point of life. That is what union is. To reach that. And what is present there? What is present when you genuinely reach that? Genuinely. What is there? What can you touch there? What is the thing? What is the information? What is the point? What will you meet there? Literally. What will you know there? Your true twin flame. You will. There's no other option, because you get into contact with the pure truth of life. The peaceful, loving information of what you are. And what is that? That's the true twin flame. And that happened for her. And it was someone else. And they met in my community, literally in my Facebook group. They had come in around the very same time, coming from completely different, seemingly sides, like different countries, not knowing each other, just both attracted to my presence on the internet, my work. And they had 3 hours together, online, in a meeting, a live meeting. That's what it eventually came down to. And we had a beautiful meditation. And that was how, as far as we could take it. And the heart was open, and the information was acknowledged, and the freedom was there, and the peace was tangible, and the harmonious union consciousness state was there and was reached. That was how far this union could take it in this lifetime, apparently. Not long after that, it became clear that this was enough for both of them in their own kind of way. For now, for this moment, for this lifetime. And she found out that she was actually ill. And that she found out that she was going to, to say goodbye to this time around. But with this profound truth. made come true, that her soul wanted. Her soul wanted that. And who wouldn't want it? And who would you not want this for? This is what you want for everybody that you care about. You would want them to come to their soul truth and to the inner peace that belongs to that, and meet their true twin flame and spend moments in that presence of the heavenly consciousness in the body right now. So that you know that love is real. Yeah. Julia says, very deep, Petra. Yeah. You would want that for everyone. Many things could be said about what was going on. Like at that moment, that were like the circumstantial things, like the identity in the flesh kind of things that were there to potentially be worked out together, so that they could like develop a relationship and come together in the physical life, not only online, but they were already in the heart together. I mean, that is actually the core of stuff, that you can take the plane and fly to them. Okay, we get that, and that's also what you do, when you would go to the next phase and the next development, and etc., etc. That's what you indeed do. But for them, for like the circumstantial evidence, or I don't know how to say that. Sometimes I'm also very much not a native speaker. I just try to express myself in a different language than my native language. It's always funny. But so for them, there were certain reasons, things that it was difficult, that it didn't work out. And we could say many things about that, but maybe eventually I learned that it didn't really matter, because this was just what needed to happen for them. And it was enough for now. And you don't know what will happen in another lifetime. You might actually say that, they could come back. And they've already gone to that place. So now it's much easier to get to that place again and start to work out what was still there to work out, so that it would, in the flesh, start to work out and be something to build. That would be much more easy now. It's interesting to think about, and I worked this out with her after death, like what happens to twin flames after death, because that's a whole question, like what happens then. So she contacted me after death, and she told me, in fact, that this was all true, that she could, after death, look back and see, yes, this is indeed what happened. It was completely true. It was completely here. It was an acknowledgement of what had been going on, and what had been going on. Because by life, there were actually, around their union, around their harmonious union, there were circumstances through which it was actually, by life, hard to talk about, is this real, is this true, in like the circumstantial things, in like the identity things, in like, but I thought my real twin flame was someone else, and I'm just actually still shocked. Like part of my brain is still shocked. or in other words, a part of my brain is still living in the ego, and I still have that lingering at the back of my head. Like, but what do I do with that? I still thought I still had yet another sexuality than I feel that I am presented now with in my identity with this true twin flame. And now I am again confused about my identity in that. I don't understand. And that's hard to go there, but we already had it here fully present in the heart, in the Zoom room together, in the meditation, in the presence of everyone, including me. But to work that out, to see that in the eye, that was like, do I choose that? This is just sort of yeah, sort of strange, being like strange with that new sense of identity in Harmonious Union. That part of the brain that was still not per se run out yet, out of the speed that it had about what they thought reality was like. And that's also what you will experience in Harmonious Twin Flame Union, the consciousness state, that your sort of brain, sense of identity, ego needs to sort of calm down out of all these things that you had propped up in your ideas about yourself and the world that you were actually not. And you need to unwind yourself from these things consciously. And that's also, of course, one of the reasons we have a teacher, and the advice is to come every week to your coaching session, and it's a relationship and it takes place over a longer period of time, and you need to commit to that and stuff. So that it becomes really safe to do these kinds of transformative developments that can have really moments in which you scratch your head like, but that was just not how I thought about myself in the world before. And even for her, that she had in her, before the twin flame life, she had a certain idea of herself. Then came the twin flame department in her life, and she was completely different. And then she arrived with a true twin flame, and then it was even different from that one, who she was. So it's like, the ego is like, well, I'm not sure if I can follow that, which is logic. The ego actually can't follow it. It's true. The ego should be let go of. That's the whole point. So that brings up this whole question. And it was so interesting to hear from her after death, that after death she could see that it was true after all, and it was right after all, and that's what it came to after all. And it must have been true because it was true, but in life it was still like, yeah, but I'm still having this, like, this is actually sort of weird. But we were already there. It was already happening. It was already felt. It was realized. It was complete. It was done and dusted. Here it was, Harmonious Twin Flame Union, the consciousness state. Everything was there. The true twin flame was there. The true twin flame teacher was there too. I was there too. Anyway, so God just sends this all the time to me. This happens all the time because I think I just got this thing from Divine Mother that it happens all the time in my presence. All the time. Everyone that comes closer comes to their sessions. There it is. Everyone, all the time. But yeah, this was a very specific one that was sort of difficult and different, and then it was like, so her true twin flame was actually, it sort of became clear after a week or so, 10 days maybe, that they weren't really interested in working that out. I was like, okay. I mean, of course, the invitation is to work that out, but it some sort of surface that they weren't wanting to work it out, to work that out, what that means, that you have the spiritual core, spiritual development, but now comes the personal development that we talked about in the beginning of this show. Personal development comes out, and it's like, oh, that is now what I need to look into, and what changes through this truth. But that they weren't interested to do that work. And then, because we also right now, because she went to the other side, have the extra sort of perspective that she came to me with, to inform me that with her vision on things after death, looking back, it had all been true, which was not a surprise for me, but it was like an interesting acknowledgement of a soul that passed on, that now could tell me that it had been true after all. And it was so interesting to see, and her twin flames sort of, went on that corner. It was like, yeah, I'm not interested to work this out. And it was like, oh, that's interesting. So, because I think he's probably still alive, which could be, for twin flames, that they sort of are born around the same time and die around the same time when they choose to sort of leave. But that's not on the day or something, you're also not born on the same day as them. But it has enough of an overlap, your lives, to have the possibility to meet and make this true love come true. That's what they did. They came together and made the true love come true, didn't they? They did. It doesn't really matter, in essence, that it was only 3 hours. Then that I was there. It was the truth, and that's what counts. And then it's like, so, but he didn't fall dead or something that I know of. That would also be a little bit over the top-ish to think about that topic in that way. But what I could see with this acknowledgement also from her on the other side, looking back and informing me about how it was from that side, I think you could say that he was like not interested anymore in this lifetime for the rest of what he's living now to make that deep of a connection to the truth. That was like, he could go to that moment to be with the truth together. And that was how far he wanted to go with that for his lifetime. And he's now just around the corner doing his own thing, which is, I mean, like essentially like diving back into an illusion, if you will, and then just, live some more, a decade more or something in his own play about one or the other thing, which is fine. That's apparently what they both had wanted. That was enough for this lifetime, you could sort of say. And for her, it was apparently enough to such a degree that she could let go of her body. That was like an unexpected thing in a sense for the personality. Like, oh, I didn't count on that one, but apparently I'm very ill actually, and within a couple of months she was dying. So, which is okay. People are allowed to die, that's okay. You just let go of this one option to be in the physical world, and you go back to being exclusively consciousness. And then she contacted me, and she actually contacted me upon death. So upon death, is that how you should say it as well? So I think the truth was that it was just right before she died. She sort of contacted me with the spirit telephone, and she asked me how to do this thing, dying. And I said to her, I said, just keep on moving forward, doing the same thing, because she had paid attention to my consciousness and inner work classes, right? So that's what I meant, like keep on doing the same thing and keep on moving forward, keep on going deeper. And she was studying the A Course in Miracles book because that was an aspect that I brought forward that it had apparently spoken to her. And she had bought it, so I'm sure that she had been, opening the book now and then and reading a couple of lines, which like brings you home very much and very immediately all the time. And yeah, so it was like maybe she could also explain that to herself, what I said, in a way that would be saying something like, keep on reading a Course in Miracle book line now and then, keep on doing the same inner work, and keep on moving forward, keep on going deeper. And at a certain point, yeah, that was it. You just keep on going into the heart. That's how you die without noticing. You just don't even notice. So, and I think that was good enough advice. And I actually did a session. It was like 1.5 month, 2 months later, that I actually was contacted by her again. So that was then truly like after death, right? And I was taking a shower, and sometimes, when you take a shower, you just a little bit more open about, and because you're with water, and it's such a beautiful medium for subtle realizations and whatnot. And she just sort of came through, and I was sort of relaxed, in the shower, and she came through and was like, yeah, so she actually wants to talk to me about what it was like right now, and also that I should talk about it to you guys. And then I did an official session with her, with like asking questions with my pendulum, like, are you still in heaven now? Yes, or like in heaven. Okay, so you're on the other side, I think is more what I meant to ask with my heart. Yes, okay. So, because we could speak about if she's in heaven or in another place, etc. Which I found out, and I also could do something with tarot cards I did that too, to make her sort of speak to me in pictures and whatnot. And I mean, the whole gist of that session of like 1.5 hours was that she looked back onto her physical life and could see that it had all been true, that I had guided her to the truth, that she was in deep peace, that it was okay that she died, that she came to her true twin flame, and that it was all completely different than she ever thought it was. And that was a shock, and that was strange, but it was the truth. And she didn't work that out further. I mean, I could have worked that out with her much further. I could have even told her, you have this, and this, and work on this, and that, and then, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't always matter, because someone has just been brought to the truth, and they need themselves to want that, right? Want to know that, want to work that out. That comes first. And that didn't necessarily come, and it was from both sides. But nevertheless, it had been reached. It was felt. We were there. It was complete. And anyway, and she could see, looking back, that it had all been correct, but it was, yeah, like weirdly different. And like the realization that her bodily life had run its course was had been a shock to her, but eventually was also integrated as like, okay, well, that's apparently how it goes. And as long as I ask Petra how to die, then I guess I can die in the peace of God. or as much as that was possible to feel. And that is actually what you want. That is the life that you want. You want to die in the peace of God. And that's what you want. Oh, there we go again. I'm just very passionate about this situation. So, but what I was trying to convey to you is that she did give me this whole story about, yes, this had been true, and that she could see it after death, when you're more clear and only in consciousness, to look back and to see and to say, yes, it was true. Yes, and I think it came down to a form of an advice to you, like that's how it can go. It can be different than you thought it was, and, and that she lived that to now tell you, yeah, this is my yes pendulum swing. That's a strong yes. So she wants you to know from the other side. She wants you to know that it's really true. We do go there together. I can bring you there. It's the true thing. It can be very different than you thought it was. This can be strange to the ego, to the patterns in your brain. It can be almost unrecognizable, but the heart actually knows immediately and fully receives and is open. And it is just your circumstantial brain that is like in a pattern that sort of is like, what? And nevertheless, this is how it is. And I think that she sort of wants to warn you. Yeah. And I also remember that she had advice for me. What was that again? Because that came up now again. Like, right? You had advice for me, right? It just feels like I'm now more like telling the story instead of doing a session with the pendulum and whatnot. But I do feel her. Uh, like this is the correct story. The advice to me was, what was that again? She was advising me from beyond the grave. I'm not sure how to say that, but I mean, it was something reassuring, something like, well, just go ahead and continue, everything will be fine, or something. I don't know. No, there was something in it, like something more reassuring what I needed. Like, it's so strange. I can't really pronounce it now. It's as if I feel it, but I can't pronounce it. I mean, it just had to. I think it just had the gist of like, continue as you are, something like that. Well, I mean, that's like the conclusion, right? She just wanted to bring the conclusion, like when you look back from beyond the grave or to the living bodies on earth, what what do you think then? Is it then still true? Well, she could see that there was a lot of illusion in her stories, in like the first story of her family life, earlier in her life. And then the twin flame story was like this huge, big thing. It was a whole drama. And then she sort of had to admit that that was not what it was. It was like a catalyst situation. And then she came with a true twin flame work. She came in the truth of God and in the peace of the heart that completely transformed her. And she met her true twin flame. And they did meet and they were brought together, and it was 3 hours long and it was so peaceful. But the brain, the circumstantial ego ideas were not lined up with that fully, and for them it was not possible to go further to work that out in this lifetime. But it was the complete thing, and she just wants you to know that this is the real deal, even though many people might get stuck into the drama twin flame phase. But she was bold enough to go beyond it, and bold enough to die afterwards and come back to me to report to me so that I could relate to you that looking back, it had all been true and correct. And it's just some sort of a warning, like, watch out, this is what can happen. And this is also what what makes that it's true. That it's true. And yeah, actually very powerful and an empowering message. There it is. There it is. So do you want to say something more? Shall I do? It's a little bit of a tarot that is a classical tarot, but has pictures of medieval paintings. That is actually not classical. Oh, okay. So I was like, maybe we're just going to get a card that she sort of picks through my presence. But this card flew out. So I guess this is it. The 5 of Cups. Well, we just keep it here. This is her message for now. I think this fits very well with what we have been speaking of. And her message is, don't be disappointed. Don't look at the circumstantial evidence of the ego, personality, the pattern of the brain that doesn't understand that your heart is in twin flame union and you reached it and you're in the peace of God. And this is your true twin flame that you didn't expect. And that is not something to be disappointed about, because this is her, it's like the church representing the truth of God. And it's like, should I be disappointed because these cups have been fallen over, or should I be happy because the cups are standing? Which of the two is it? Am I going to be disappointed or happy? And you need to be happy. Don't be disappointed. Be happy. When you die and you look back, you can see that it was the truth. And that is the thing that everybody wants. It's a very valuable end of your life. And it's also a very valuable middle of the life, being in life, in the middle of life, and standing up inside of that. And yeah, just allowing yourself to be revived in that completely new space and start to build that out in heaven on earth, as she also one day will have the opportunity to go back to that chapter where she was and start to build further on it, which will be a lot more easy once you've done it. So that's her advice for you. So let's see. Oh, there was maybe something, yeah, on the underside of the deck, which is like the undertone of what you wanted to say. This is how you move to the other side in your boat with your twin flame. The other side of maybe before union, you don't understand, and you come together and you move together to the other side on the shore where you can make it come true and start to build. That's what we do after harmonious union, the consciousness state. And that's why I bring you guys to that first. That's the homework.